Hi, good morning, everybody. It's no longer a winter wonderland, and I'm thrilled. Hopefully, the weather is on the way up, and that's super exciting for me. So, I have a great day ahead of me, and I hope you do too. If you don't know who I am, I'm Rita Hickman, a body mind expert and a Shiatsu massage therapist. And my specialty is helping women who are in toxic or narcissistic relationships get stronger, build themselves so that they have the strength and the energy, hey Lynn, and the ability to stand up in their relationships. Kellyanne's here too, awesome. And the ability to really advocate for themselves and empower themselves in their relationships so that no matter how bad it is, no matter how difficult, you're able to make a really positive change in your life. Hey Jill, nice to see you. Awesome. So today's week is on tips to heal after narcissistic relationships. And, when I was a kid, hey, Rochelle, my dad dealt with an undiagnosed mental illness. He dealt quite a bit with depression, and his behavior was very difficult to deal with. There was a lot going on in our family. And so for the first, 16, 17 years of my life, actually the first big shift happened when I got into high school, because it got me exposed to different ways of thinking, and it got me exposed to people who were much healthier than the people I'd been in relationship with before. And that was the first time that I realized, you know what, in order to change how you think, in order to change how you live, you really have to surround yourself with healthier people. And so in high school, that was the first real shift for me, is I found people who were loving and accepting and thoughtful and kind and balanced, and that started me on a really good path. And what that did is that brought more and more people into my life. Now, as I got older and I figured out that life was even more complicated and more complex, and people could be even nuttier than I ever imagined that they could be, and dysfunctional and wounds and issues. Hey, Gretchen. That message really came back to me again of you have to surround yourself with people who get what you're talking about. Now, most of the women, by the time you get to our age, I'm finding a lot of women coming into my office who don't have friends, who don't have close friends. Hey, Nicole, who don't have a support system, probably because we got dove into living life. You got out of school and suddenly you had all of these responsibilities, even more than you had before. And so many women put their life on hold in order to try to make their relationships work or get their career going or something along those lines. And what got neglected were those really building that super healthy community around us. Now, the same thing happened to me. I dove deeply into building my practice and making things work in my life. There was that drive. And only within, the last, let's say 5 or 6 years did I realize, you know what? I don't have that same support system that got me through that first narcissistic relationship, and I need to get one. And this time I looked for things which were a little bit higher quality, people who'd done a little bit more work. And the reason being is because we're surrounded in a society, we're swimming in an ocean of people who they have not dealt with their stuff. They're coming from a very painful and reactionary place. They give advice which is really surface and doesn't have anything to do with the situation you might be dealing with. We're looking around and we get advice from the news, and we get advice from our wounded friends who are, going through tumultuous times, or from people who never grew up. They stopped at age 15, 16. These are the people that we're surrounded with, generally speaking. And they've been able to kind of skate by, a problem here and a problem there without ever doing their deep work. These are the people that are nice to have as acquaintances, but not nice to turn to when you really need some support working through a toxic situation or a toxic relationship. Because most of the advice that'll be given there is, why are you putting up with that? And you need to just get out of there and leave. And there's all this advice, which on the surface seems really great. Just cut everybody off. Just walk away from them. And on the surface, that's strong and empowered. But you know what? Life is so much more complicated than that. It's so much more complex. We've got reasons we do things, and our own issues we're working through, and situations and finances and kids. And suddenly what becomes the simple, easy, quick answer that people love to throw at you just doesn't really recognize what you're working with. So in order to move through this next stage in your life, to use these toxic relationships and these narcissistic relationships in order to help you evolve, to become the happy, successful, amazing human being that you're meant to be, that's what these relationships can do. They help you evolve. They help push you and stretch you so that you don't end up stuck in the surface like so many people around us, reacting and being angry and upset and taking it out on the people around us and suppressing it and getting sick and having it turn into all of these crazy pain and health issues. You know, you have to find people that have done their work, that they've spent the last few decades not just surviving, but really figuring things out. You're going to find a lot of those people in the helping professions. You're going to find them as psychologists and therapists. You'll find them as massage therapists and physical therapists and healthcare workers. You know, you start looking for people who have seen it, who aren't naive, who aren't blind. You know, when we got into these toxic and narcissistic relationships, you know, there was a certain level of naivete of what we thought the world was supposed to look like. And these relationships ripped back the curtain and said, hey, this is really what's out there. This is really what's going on. And all of those things that, you know, all the negative energy that people have been talking about, you're like, wow, it really exists. This is terrible. This is crazy. So there's this level of being naive that allows us to get into these toxic and narcissistic relationships. Hey, Amanda. So the key is for us to grow up and to evolve and to become that greater version of ourselves. And the only way you're going to do it is to find other people who've done it. You know, a lot of what keeps us stuck is we sit there and we think we don't have the energy, we don't have the time, we don't have the motivation, we don't have the everything. Hey, Ariana. And that's really true. Where you're at right now, you might not have the time and energy and motivation. You might be beaten down and in a hole. You may be in total protect mode. And that's cool. I mean, it's not great, but if you can recognize that's where you're at, then you can recognize that you can get out of it too. That you aren't helpless, you aren't trapped, you aren't stuck. And the easiest way to do it, seriously, the easiest way to do it is to do a little bit of research and start surrounding yourself with people who are a little bit more evolved, people who've done more of that head work and their heart work, and they've worked through it, and they understand toxic relationships. You'll have to search. You know, you'll have to find the 1 in 100 people that know what you're talking about. But that's what technology is here for. It's to help us find the people who are a good fit for us. You know, I'm not going to be a good fit for everybody. Some people are in the phase of their relationship where they're so angry and so trapped and so helpless that they have no ability to get out. They have no desire to get out. I'm for the women who've done a little bit of work, who are ready to become that person that they want to be. And the only way to do it is to find somebody who's a couple steps ahead of you, somebody who this is important to them, who this is their life, this is what they've done. Don't just think that, you know, anybody who's walking down the road will be able to support you. And that was one of my biggest challenges and one of my biggest naive beliefs as I started to get out of my toxic situations. You know, I spent decades just looking for anybody to help me. You know, I'd go to all these different, you know, Native American things and shamanic things and talking to this people and that person. And, you know, I'd constantly, you know, different healers and talking to them. And only maybe like 1 out of every 20 were really gold. I had to do that work. But in the meantime, I was always looking for that validation and the affirmation and the support and the people to help me through this. And you know what? When you look for that support from people who aren't able to give it, you're going to end up feeling very empty, very betrayed, very lost, very stuck, because you're looking for help from people who don't know what you're talking about. You're looking for help from people who haven't been there, and they're struggling so much with their own issues that they can't be there for you either. So one of my biggest mistakes really was turning to anybody and everybody who would be nice to me and looking for help from them. You know, but that's the wrong way to go. That's what will keep you stuck. You can't look for help from just anybody. You have to have enough love and respect for yourself. Yes, that meme, Lynn, you may not be stuck, just planted, bloom. Yes, that's exactly it. When you're in this time, it's the motivation to push you to look for a higher level of beingness. Think about it like an ocean. There are all these layers in the ocean, and in each layer of the ocean, different things swim and different things live. You have to change the layer of the ocean that you're living with and hang out with different people. It doesn't mean you have to cut off your friends or walk away from them or cut the cords or, do any of that really melodramatic sort of things. What happens is when you change, when you evolve, when you become healthier, when you set better boundaries, when you have more positive, hey Kelly, have more positive thoughts, when your brain's better wired, those people, they either evolve with you or they fall away. You don't have to get rid of anybody. You get to become. And you know what? It's so much more helpful and focused if you stop focusing on what you can do to control the situation around you and start focusing on what you can control to make yourself feel good, to make yourself feel like you're on a good path. So this is my call to you, to love and respect yourself enough to find the people who can really assist you, to find the people that can help you move forward and help you see things in a different perspective. And not just anybody, not just blindly grasping for help and thinking that everybody else is healthier than you are, because they're not. In fact, many of the people that look healthier than you are, they've got so many issues. Like I'm starting a new collaboration soon. And instead of walking in with all of my insecurities of like, oh, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. This is fabulous and fantastic. That's a wonderful attitude, but that's also spring. That's also in Asian medicine. It's wood. It's that newness and that excitement. But I want to come at this new experience and this new collaboration from a centered place, from a place that listens, a place that questions, a place that tests things. Hey, Dina, a test that assumes, a place that assumes that the other person is not as healthy as I am. They have not done as much work. They haven't, worked on some wounds. Maybe they've worked on other things and they're good at that. So I'm not walking in with that level of low self-esteem for me. I'm walking in saying, you know what? People have a lot of stuff going on. And because they have a lot of stuff going on, we're going to walk towards this slowly and let it evolve naturally. I'm going to stay grounded and planted in my space, and I'll let them stay in theirs, and we'll figure it out that way. And that's the shift that needs to happen for us to really create the life that we want. We stop looking for out there to save us, and we start looking for the things that we can do. And one of the best things to do, and it's so much fun, is to find people who are not as messed up as you are or as messed up as the rest of the world seems to be, as the majority of people seem to be. You have been doing great. The fact that you're watching these and listening to these means that you're on a much better path than most people. You're taking these steps. You're empowering yourself. You're moving forward. You're finding out what you need to do. And that is better than probably 80% of the population, because you've decided you're going to figure this out and you're going to take concrete, direct steps to figure it out. And that, hey Tracy, and that is the key, that hope and that motivation and that moving forward. And finding other people who can be role models, who can give you good advice, not bad advice, who understand what you're talking about, who use your language, finding those by hook or by crook is how you're going to evolve, because you can't do this by yourself. You absolutely can't. I mean, okay, maybe you can, but it'll take a really long time. I know, I've tried. The way we go to the next level is to stop doing it on our own, is to stop thinking that we're in charge and responsible for absolutely everything. The way that next step is to bring together that supportive, loving community that you needed even before you were born, but probably didn't get, which means now that you're in a place of power, you're in a place of where you can make choices for yourself. You're not a child. You get to choose. You get to choose who you spend time with. You get to choose who's in your circle and how close you let them be to you. You get to decide that. You don't have to just take potluck, even if it's family. You can still keep family in your life, but you keep them at a distance. You keep them at an emotional or energetic distance if they aren't healthy enough to be in your world. You get to have different layers of intimacy, different levels of vulnerability. And the people that maybe you've relied on in the past that have kept you stuck, hey, Tracy and Jesse, might not be the people that will move you forward. So it's time to change your circle of influence. And the way you do that is to just start looking for people who resonate at that higher level. Therapists, energy healers, me, good coaches, whatever. And you get to vet them. You get to decide whether they are a good fit for you. You don't just take anybody that comes down the pike thinking that somehow they know more than you do, because they don't. They're just as screwed up as you are, as I said, if not more. And so you get to respect and love yourself enough to create the community you want around you. Okay? Ariana says, choose and use your time wisely. Such an important part of having boundaries. Yep. You don't have a lot of time in the day. You don't have a lot of space. You don't have a lot of these things. So you have to take back that power and make conscious choices for how you want to spend your time and how you want to spend your life. And even if you're not there now, you're going to be there because you're listening to this in the first place. You're chatting with me. You're getting new information in your head, and you're not doing this by yourself anymore. So here is your homework assignment. I want you, you know what, I'm going to give you a fun one. I want you to go to psychologytoday.com, and I want you to look at therapists. I'm not telling you to get a therapist, but what I want to do is get you to start thinking outside your box. You know, we sit there and think we have to take whatever life gives us and we're attracting bad things to us and we need to stop attracting bad things to us. No. All the bad things are always going to be there. You get to look at the wild rainbow of people who exist. Hey, Stevie, of people who exist who can help. And you get to choose and test them out and check out, you know, a couple different things. Hey, Jessica and Gail, you get to look at the wide variety of people you can connect with and pick and choose. So if you go to psychologytoday.com, you are going to see that support and help is out there. You are not alone. You don't have to do this alone. And even if the first person or the second person or the third person or the fourth person or the fifth person, even if they're not a good fit, it doesn't mean that somebody won't be. It's like in Western medicine anymore. You have to be your own advocate, because otherwise, other people have way too many issues and they are not looking out for your best interests. So you have to look out for your best interests. And one of the ways is to realize that the resources and the solutions and the energy and the support, all of that is out there. It's out there and it's ready and waiting for you to find them. Okay? So start looking. Start looking and start realizing that the world is a much bigger place than you ever thought it was, and that you do not have to stay stuck in the position you're in. Okay? Cool. And if you want some more support, I'm always posting great things on healthy strategies to cope with narcissists. It's a group you have to, ask to join, and I'll approve you. And it's a great positive space instead of the negative, shameful, angry, judgmental, all of that stuff that's going on around toxic relationships and narcissists right now, which is all about how do we once again play the blame game and look at people as if they're broken and evil and out to get you. And, that all may be true, but that's not helpful for you. That's not helpful. What's helpful is getting that love and support and respect that makes you become the person that toxic relationships and toxic people and narcissists are just not interested in anymore, okay? That's the rock solid way to shift out of it. So go to the group, sign up for the group, look at psychologytoday.com, text me, comment, do whatever you got to do, because we are going to get you there. Absolutely, positively, okay? So have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow with one more tip for the week. Bye.